A peaceful morning suddenly turned into a nightmare. As Mama, a lovely Labrador, was caring for her puppies in the yard, a huge snake suddenly appeared out of nowhere, slithering towards them. Mama was immediately alert, but in the blink of an eye, the snake coiled tightly around her body. It tightened its grip second by second. But something unexpected happened. At the moment when it seemed like there was no hope, an unexpected event changed Mama Labrador's fate forever. What happened? Who appeared in time? Before continuing the story, please comment and tell us where you are watching this video. If you believe in touching and extraordinary stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel now. Tomorrow, there will be a special story for you. Now let's get to the story. It was a glorious morning in the wilds of Texas. The golden sunlight poured down on the endless hayfields, glistening with the last drops of dew from the night before. The wind blew gently, carrying the scent of earth and wild grass, a peacefulness so sweet that it seemed as if the whole world was immersed in a sweet dream. In this space, Bella, a pale yellow Labrador with warm brown eyes, was leisurely leading her small litter of puppies into the backyard. The three silly puppies ran and rolled around in the grass, chasing the dry leaves that blew in the wind. For Bella, this was the happiest moment, watching her little ones safe and happy under the deep blue sky. But sometimes, it was the most peaceful moments that hid the most terrible dangers. Hidden in the knee-high weeds, a deadly threat awaited. No sound, no warning. There was only an eerie silence, the silence of a predator. Roar! Suddenly, a giant rattlesnake darted out at lightning speed from the thick grass. Its ashen skin was covered in dust, rough as desert rock, and its red eyes glowed with an unfathomable rage, the eyes of someone who would spare no one. Before Bella could comprehend what was happening, she turned her head, and bam! The snake wrapped around her, its thick coils like a living rope. Each squeeze was like a steel pincer, choking her precious breath. A painful bark burst from Bella's throat, hoarse, choked, desperate. The cubs stopped, their eyes wide, reflecting the terrible image. Their mother, their only protector, struggling in a living nightmare. Have you ever seen the purest fear? Not the fear for yourself, but the fear of seeing the people you love the most in danger, and you completely helpless. That was what appeared in the innocent eyes of the three puppies. They didn't know what to do. They could only bark weakly, jumping around helplessly, as if their cries could tear apart the terror that was engulfing their mother. But how strong is the maternal instinct? And is love enough for Bella to fight back against death? And what about you? What would you do when you saw the people you love the most in such a desperate situation? Would you stand still in fear? Or would you risk everything, even danger, to save them? This story isn't over yet. The scariest thing isn't the snake. It's the power of a heart that knows no fear. And that's just the beginning of a miracle. The air around her seemed to freeze. Every ray of bright Texas morning light faded into the darkness of the unfolding nightmare. The rattlesnake's grip tightened, like an invisible noose slowly strangling Bella's life. She felt each breath become labored, each heartbeat less frequent, as if time were slowing down to prolong this painful moment forever. But just as the line between life and death seemed to be a thin mist, something miraculous happened. Bella's maternal instinct, a force that transcended fear and pain, rose fiercely within her. Even as her body was crushed, even as her lungs felt like they were about to burst from a lack of oxygen, she refused to surrender. Her usually gentle brown eyes now burned with a burning fire, not of despair, but of indomitable resilience. Bella used up all her remaining strength, struggling wildly. Her sharp teeth sought to sink into the snake's steel-like scales. Each bite was a mix of excruciating pain and unyielding determination. But then, snap, a counterbite from the snake, quick as lightning, pierced Bella's shoulder. Have you ever felt what it feels like when physical pain mixes with the fear of losing someone you love? It's a suffocating feeling, like a tsunami sweeping through, wiping away all hope. The venom from the bite quickly spread throughout Bella's body, making her legs shake and her vision dim. But just when it seemed like there was nothing left to hold on to, Max appeared, the smallest puppy in the litter, the smallest, the weakest, but the bravest. Max didn't understand what venom was. Max didn't fear death. All Max knew was, Mom was in danger, and no fear could be greater than the love of a child for his mother. Without hesitation, Max charged toward the snake with incredible speed. His little feet dug into the grass, leaving small but determined tracks. Max jumped up, biting hard on the snake's tail, pulling with all his might. Have you ever felt like this? A moment when everything around him seemed to stop, except for his beating heart and heavy breathing? That was the moment Max was experiencing. Even though his little body was shaking with fear, Max did not let go. His small jaws clung to the venomous snake like a fragile lifeline in a raging sea. The snake turned its head angrily, eyes glowing red, opening its mouth to attack the little thing that had dared to challenge it. In an instant, whoo! It whipped its body like a steel whip, sending Max flying several meters away. Max fell to the ground with a painful thump, rolling a few times on the dry grass. The air was suffocating. Max tried to stand up, his legs shaking, his eyes blurred with pain, but he didn't stop. Max stood up, rushed towards the snake again. Have you ever wondered what makes you brave? It doesn't come from physical strength. It doesn't come from being big or powerful. Courage is when you are scared to the core, but still keep going. Max, with his small body and strong heart, bit the snake's tail again, trying to pull it away from his mother. The bite wasn't enough to hurt the snake, but it was enough to distract it. And sometimes, in a fight to the death, just the smallest moment of distraction is enough to change everything. Bella, whose body was almost paralyzed by the venom, realized this slim chance. With one last effort, she used her remaining strength, turned her head, and bit the snake's neck with all the anger, pain, and love she had for her pups. Smack! The snake hissed in pain. The grip loosened. The seconds passed like a century. Max, his eyes fixed on his mother. Bella, panting but no longer in the grip. The snake, the cold predator, finally retreated, slithering away with its wounded body. The fight to the death was over. But what remained was not the fear or the pain, but the power of love. And the question is, what would you dare to do for the ones you love? Would you be willing to face your greatest fear just to protect a loved one? That's what Max, a little puppy, did. And that's what made him a true hero. A loud barking sound pierced the silence of the vast Texas countryside. It was more than just the chaotic cries of a litter of puppies. It was a cry for help, a desperate cry that rang out from the depths of a small heart, filled with fear and intense love for their mother. In the distance, Jake, Bella's owner, was busy repairing the old wooden fence in front of the house. He stopped and raised his head, his ears quickly catching up to the unusual sound. The bark was not normal. It was not the innocent play call or the usual mischief of puppies. It was a heart-wrenching cry, signaling that something was wrong. Jake's heart pounded. He threw the hammer to the ground, his eyes quickly scanning the backyard, where the barking had come from. Without thinking, he grabbed a large pickaxe propped up against the porch. His instincts told him he would need it. Jake dashed across the hayfield, his feet crunching into sharp blades of grass, but he felt no pain. All he could think about was Bella and her little brood, the family he loved like his flesh and blood. And then he saw them. The sight before him took Jake's breath away. A giant rattlesnake, over 3 feet long, with skin as gray as ash, was squeezing Bella's body. Its red eyes glowed with cruelty, while Bella was almost motionless, her legs limp, her breathing weak as if she were about to die. Besides, Max, the smallest puppy, was trying to bite the snake's tail with all his might. Even as his small body was thrashed around, Max refused to let go. His eyes flashed with the light of the purest courage, a strength that came not from muscle or size, but from the heart. Jake didn't remember how he reacted. It all happened in a matter of heartbeats. He roared, charging into the middle of the fight, swinging the pick high. Snap! The first blow landed hard on the snake's back, creating a dry crack. The snake hissed, its body convulsing violently, but it did not let go of Bella. Snap! Jake swung the pick again, harder, using all the strength of a man fighting not just to save a dog, but to protect his family. Have you ever felt that moment when love overcame reason and fear? It was when you didn't think about danger or consequences. You just knew you had to do something. Jake could hear nothing but the pounding in his chest. He could see nothing but the snake threatening to take the life of Bella, his most loyal companion. The snake finally let go of Bella, its body slithering slowly away, leaving a faint trail of blood in the grass. But Jake wasn't done. He lunged forward, swinging his pickaxe one more time to make sure the threat would never return. When it was all over, an eerie silence fell. Jake knelt beside Bella. She lay there, panting, her eyes shining with determination despite her body being too weak to move. The little ones ran around, licking at their mother's face, their eyes filled with innocent yet painful concern. Jake gently placed his hand on Bella. Her body grew cold. He could feel the venom coursing through her veins, silently but cruelly destroying her life. Without hesitation, Jake picked Bella up. He felt her body go limp in his arms, but Bella's eyes, her eyes still looked at him with absolute trust. They were eyes that said, "Don't leave me. I still want to live. I want to stay for my children." Have you ever seen a creature clinging to the thin line between life and death with only a tiny glimmer of hope? Jake ran, like he had never run faster. The small puppies tried to follow behind, their short legs unable to keep up, but still refusing to stop. The vet clinic wasn't far away, but to Jake, it felt like an endless distance. Every step was a struggle with the fear in his heart. He was afraid he wouldn't make it in time, afraid that those eyes, Bella's eyes full of life and hope, would fade before they got there. When they got there, Jake rushed into the clinic, screaming, "She needs help, now!" The vets responded quickly. Bella was placed on the table, and IVs, oxygen masks, and anti-venom injections were administered in the blink of an eye. Jake stood outside, his hands clenched in a cold sweat, his heart clenched. He didn't pray, because he didn't know how to pray. But deep inside, he only wanted one thing: please save her. Have you ever waited for important news? and your heart felt like it was hanging in the balance? That moment felt longer than any other in your life. And then, a gasp. Bella opened her eyes. Her vision was cloudy, but then it slowly cleared. A soft moan escaped her throat. It was a small sign, but to Jake, it felt like the universe had exploded inside him. Bella had won, not just in the fight with the snake, but in the fight for her life. Her courage, Max's love, and Jake's stubborn refusal to give up, all combined to create a true miracle. And what about you? When faced with fear, loss, or despair, will you give up or fight? Because sometimes, the moment you think you're weakest is when you're strongest. The door to the vet clinic swung open with a hasty bang. Jake rushed in, Bella in his arms. Her body limp, her eyes closed, her breathing ragged as if she were about to stop. Jake's heart was pounding, not from exhaustion from the long journey, but from sheer fear. The fear of losing his most loyal friend. The vets didn't need an explanation. One look at Jake's panicked eyes and Bella's bloody body told them that every second was a race against time. Bella was placed on the emergency table. Needles were inserted into her veins, an oxygen mask was placed over her nose, and the medical equipment began beeping rhythmically but nervously. Jake stood outside the room, his hands clasped together, his eyes fixed on the door as if trying to see through it, to see everything happening inside. Have you ever felt that feeling of absolute helplessness? When all you can do is stand there, wait, hope, but you can't control the outcome. That's when Jake learned that strength lies not just in action, but in keeping faith even in the worst of circumstances. Time passed slowly, as if each minute were an hour. Then the emergency room door opened. The doctor walked out, his face serious, but his eyes shining with hope. "We did everything we could," he said, placing his hand on Jake's shoulder. "She's a fighter. She's still here." Jake felt his legs almost give way, not from exhaustion, but from a feeling stronger than any storm he'd ever experienced. Relief. He walked in and saw Bella lying on the hospital bed. Though her body was weak, her breathing labored, her eyes were open, a small glimmer of light that was enough to set Jake's world ablaze. Jake knelt beside her, gently stroking her soft fur, whispering, "You did well, Bella. You are my hero." The following days were a slow but miraculous journey of recovery. Bella fought not only with her body, but also with her strong spirit. The little ones always clung to their mother, occasionally licking her feet as if to give her a little spiritual strength. Jake did not leave Bella's side for even a minute. He talked, sang softly, and even told the story of the first time they met, as if those memories could fill the gap between life and death. The day Bella was able to stand up on her own, even if it was just a shaky step, Jake burst into tears. They were not tears of weakness, but tears of a man who understood that life is sometimes defined by the smallest moments. Bella had returned from the brink of death. She is not only a brave Labrador mom, but also a symbol of unconditional love and self-sacrifice. Not because she fought a venomous snake to protect her puppies, not because Max, the little puppy, risked his life to save his mother, but because love binds them all together, an invisible bond stronger than any steel pincer. And now I want to ask you, how do you define courage? Is it great deeds, great victories, or simply not giving up when you have every reason to? What will you do to protect the ones you love? Are you willing to fight, not just with your strength, but with your heart? Because sometimes Courage is not the absence of fear, but being afraid and still going forward. The story of Bella, Max, and Jake is more than just a life or death struggle between life and death. It is a profound reminder of the power of love, courage, and faith that never fails, even in the face of the most severe challenges. Because sometimes, heroes are not those who are fearless, but the small hearts who dare to face their greatest fears to protect the things they love the most. Bella fought for her children. Max, though small, did not hesitate to rush into danger to save his mother. And Jake, with all his love and responsibility, did not give up when everything seemed hopeless. Perhaps after hearing this story, you will ask yourself, what will I do when the people I love need me the most? Will I be brave enough to stand up when life challenges me? Remember, bravery is not always a great action. Sometimes, it's just a small decision that can change your life. If this story touches your heart, please like to spread this meaningful message. Don't hesitate to share the story with the people you love, because who knows, it might be a source of inspiration to help them get through difficult days. How would you rate this story from 0 to 10? Leave your feelings in the comments section because we would love to know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next stories, where we will bring you emotional journeys, valuable lessons, and sometimes miracles that you don't expect. Stay with us until the end of the video to discover the next story, a journey that you won't be able to take your eyes off